Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who's retweeted and shared on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Ooh. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Chasing the Puck TV show. Just having some technical issues, it seems that way. So we are now live. Looking at it is live. I've just checked online that it's came up. So obviously, thank you very much for coming and watching. Do appreciate that. And obviously, just want to say, thank you very much for everyone who has messaged over the last couple of days on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, with your questions and, your thoughts and ideas going forward on what we wanted to do. And then looking at it there, it's been a really, really big and fun week for everyone in the hockey world. So obviously there's a lot of things that we need to talk about. Of course, give us a like and subscribe on social media on here. It's greatly appreciated, all the follows that you do and all the interactions that you guys do. So I really do appreciate everyone who has, reached out in the last couple of weeks as well. It's been a lot of fun, if I'm honest. It's the start of the season, so everyone's starting to find their feet again, and getting all the content out and everything. So this is still new to me, only 3 episodes in. Quite lucky, to do a couple of talks. Obviously the first one, when everyone made light of it, there was Turton talks, and I didn't get a word in, but it was a really good interview with Tom Cullen. So obviously it was a really good opportunity to speak to him and, discuss hockey and his thoughts and processes of the season. So, it was a big one. And of course, this last week, we're very fortunate to speak to Kevin Tansey, who came on, spoke to us for a wee while about the CHL, which I'm sure we'll cover at some point this afternoon of the proceedings. But yeah, really good interview. If you guys haven't watched it already, shameless plug, everyone, check it out. It's on YouTube. Have an opportunity to have a look at it. Obviously, we started the show last week with your questions and your thoughts. So the chat's open, please feel free. Ask me any questions, throw anything out there, your thoughts and opinions. At the end of the day, it's just me talking to you. And it'd be a great pleasure for obviously to hear your hockey thoughts and opinions about the weekend. And obviously your thoughts of the season ahead. So last week, yes, we did make a little bit of a joke with how we were going to start proceedings. Everyone assumed that it would be a Steelers-based start of the episode, and we kind of threw it to the Glasgow Clan. Obviously, this week, we can't do the same joke twice, so there's only one team we can talk about to start off with, and that's a 4-point week for the Nottingham Panthers. Only joking. We have to start with the Steelers. Really great couple of days for Steelers fans. If you've not seen already, I was quite lucky to be there Friday night, Sunday night. A few people on social media made their thoughts and opinions abundantly clear about being a fan page and anything like that. But it's CHL hockey. I can't be in 20 places at once. Really wish I could, but I can't. But, if anyone ever wants to send me any footage or any videos or photos, more than happy to receive them, but unfortunately I can't be everywhere. And to be at 2 Steelers games from affordability point of view and opportunity was actually really, really good to do that. So let's look at Friday against Sparta Prague. Really, really good team on paper. There wasn't a level of apprehension when I was in Sheffield. Everyone was kind of buoyed with the performances that were there. The Tansey interview kind of alleviated that, people wanted to be there in that situation and be in those type of games. And, they played a nice Sheffield, and this was obviously the first homecoming really where they could go to the utilities, especially for the new guys within the group, and to play on the biggest stage against one of the big teams. Same with Sunday as well. It was actually a really good atmosphere, It was seen on social media, the attendance that was actually there, over 8,000 for Friday. It was a noisy one, busy one. If you wanted food and drink, no chance. But, to be there was an experience, if I'm honest. And, people are having conversations, about their family ties with teams in Sweden and Czech Republic and whatnot. And I think obviously, it brings that little bit of fun. Everyone wants to be where the Steelers are right now in that Champions Hockey League, and they won the Grand Slam. They put themselves in a position where they actually won. And one thing that people have thought about and discussed is the run that they're having. Everyone thinks that it's the elite league. These teams come in and they're the perennial whipping boys of the Champions Hockey League. But my thoughts on that is this is a team that last season has kind of kept the crux of the players that are there. They've got them 2-year deals. They're back. Most of the team that was there last season that won the Grand Slam is back. A lot of teams, when they win the league or whatever competitions they get through, or the seedings that they have to get through to the Champions Hockey League, they're in a position where their players are kind of picked up, new contracts here or there, pastures new. And we've been so early in the season. I can't talk about the other teams that are in the CHL. I'm not going to say I'm a foregone expert of these teams and heard of some of them until the last couple of weeks and their players and, the talent that they have on their rosters. But I can only speak on Sheffield, really. And, my thoughts and opinions are my own with how they are actually a team that are actually there that played the crux of last season, the same coaching setup, the same players, same thought process, same schedules and everything like that, and same training regimen. They've come into these games and they haven't had to work on systems. They haven't had to, learn the drills from a particular new head coach or players coming in the dark with only a limited number of preseason games. They've actually gone in. They know what it's about. They know the atmosphere. They know the arena. They know the type of hockey that they need to play. So they've already had an opportunity where they've had that chance to know what the team wants and how they want to play. And being in that situation there, the team have got some really good wins. If we take Friday, for example, how quickly they scored. It's kind of a running joke if they don't score in the first couple of minutes, what's going to happen? But, they've scored in bunches. They've scored quite a few goals. They're shocking a lot of teams. And then I think looking at it, atmosphere-wise, Ollie has really put a really good point in there. Good evening, by the way. I think they do, from the videos that I saw of Cardiff and seeing the atmosphere of the last couple of days in Sheffield, build it and they will come. Today there wasn't silence. There wasn't anything in those games where you could just look at it and it wasn't dull. I mean, the Sparta Prague had its own situation with the fan bases going backwards and forward with each other, the chants and the music and everything, and the Prague fans with the stewards and everything like that. But that's European hockey at the end of the day. They're used to standing up and they're used to having a certain way around the rinks. But looking at it, seat-wise, noise-wise, atmosphere-wise, I think it has to be respected. You look at these games from far and wide where people are sitting on their hands and, you can hear a pin drop. I've been to games where, one person in the away block is singing louder than an entire arena. But the last couple of games that I've seen in Sheffield, the video and everything that I did when Cardiff were playing last season in the Continental Cup, it just buoyed and it just made hockey so much more fun and exciting. And it's actually great to be a part of. You kind of feel the energy in the room. And, it's cliche and you probably hear people say it within interviews and stuff like that. But you can see the penny drop and the tide turn. There was a point during the Sheffield game where there was obviously the major penalty, which will surely be asked about shortly, is where there was more energy, where the 5-minute major was going and you could just hear the rumblings of every pass, every misplaced shot, every taking it out of the zone. You could feel it and you feel it for the fans. And that's the thing, is because I have that detachment of not being completely, well, obviously the reasons why I'm not 100% attached to it, but I can look at it objectively and be in a position where I can actually say, I could feel the energy in the room. You could actually see the relief in the fans, the coaching team, and everyone around it, that was around that rink at that time. And when it was back to full strength, that raw. And that's the thing is, for what you have in UK hockey, the money, the finances, the type of hockey, the fighting, whatever you want to look at, is nights like that If someone could say to me, "Would you want every game every night to be like that in the UK hockey?" I would take that any day of the week. It was probably one of the most exciting, exhilarating periods that I've been a part of. And fingers crossed I get to experience that again, regardless, if it's in Sheffield, if it's in Cardiff soon, Belfast, wherever, if I can get a night like that, European or UK hockey based, two teams going against each other, I'm all for it. Go. So Karina said the big crowds and Steelers are doing well, can only help our league more spots in the future. And that's saying eyes on the prize. Tanzi said, a couple of years ago he was asked to come to the league and he didn't want to. Championing again with his agency skills, got him over the line and said how good the league was, and people I've spoken to throughout the years have, you get people getting interviewed saying that the fan base is great, the organisation's great, the rinks are great, and all of those lines about it. But the more that people get eyes on the product, and I hate to say it as a product, but people want to come here. It's not a retirement home. It's people that are in. Look at Blaze. I mean, these kids are coming through. They're amazing. Absolutely brilliant. It's their first time going pro for a lot of them. They made the decision to come to the UK, and the Kazi boys from Flyers as well. Great winning the Conti Cup and stuff like that. But the next stage of their evolution of their career is coming to the UK, where they want to make a name for themselves. So in a couple of years, they get that next big move. They get that next situation where they can make a name for themselves, get some good stats, get some good performances. But with the league now getting a lot of exposure from what the Steelers are doing, I'm sure they will with Cardiff when they're at Conti again. Not just us. There is a lot of, social media presence on the Elite League at the moment and the National League as well. And seeing these little clips and these little catches now, it's not just a little island where people don't watch the sport or don't really care about it. People are actually looking from the outside in to see what it's all about. And the more people are talking about it and the more engagement it gets and more content that's created around those, is these little bite-sized chunks of clips and stuff like that make the rounds. There is a gap with the National Hockey League not being around and all the other leagues not starting for the next couple of weeks. So the leagues that have started kind of get the more exposure. But when you're in a position that later down the line, where these leagues are fighting for exposure again, people want to see these little, little misses, great saves, fights, shenanigans, or, bits and pieces that happen during a hockey game. And people won't want to watch the highlights. They want easy 20, 30-second clips. And we're starting to get them more. There's more skillful plays. There's more fighting. There's more meltdowns. There's everything that everyone would want for it as well. So Mint Biscuit, hello again. There's more at the Steelers versus Sparta game than the Freiburg and Zaxo put together. Double them both games over the weekend. And that's the thing, is I'll be honest with you, at the game, a lot of Steelers fans, but I saw a lot of Leeds Knight fans. I saw some Panthers fans. There's probably some teams that I'm missing that were actually there Friday and Sunday that wanted to see CHL hockey. If, the tickets available and it's not a sellout, but it's near enough a sellout and people want to go and see these games and make the choice to see, it might be the opposition. People might want to go and see Steelers get a spanking, but both games they didn't. They actually showcased what they were all about. But there was people within different fan bases that wanted to visit. I saw different jerseys there that I just thought, okay, that's okay. They want to see Champions League, Champions hockey. Absolutely fine. They're paying for a ticket. Let them come and see. And if you think about it, the package that is on for them to watch the games, the highlights are very quick coming out. The on-demand games as well, if you've actually bought your subscription, is really good that you can watch as many games as you want. You can watch the replays instantly. It's a really good package. I haven't got the package. Someone has got the package that lets me watch it, so that's absolutely fine by me. But it is, really good, exciting, interesting hockey games that have been the last couple of weeks, and kind of leads into Ollie's question about the remaining fixtures. I think that's the big issue, really, is that, these opponents now probably saw this going forward as, this might be an easy 3 points. That, take it away. These are teams that are just going to come here. Maybe they're going to show a little bit of a fight, get a couple of goals, maybe give you a blood nose here or there. ever so often, but won't were going to show up but not show up. Now they're in a position where if you look at last year and the points that they've got comparable to last year, there is a very good possibility that if they get a couple of points from their last couple of games, to win at home, they're going to be into the next round. The going to be a level where the last team that did it was the Nottingham Panthers. I'm sure you've seen it on social media that a lot of Panthers fans are living on that little nugget of information that they were the last ones there, and Steelers, yeah, they've won a couple of games, but they haven't done that yet. But this is probably a team that the group that they've got and the coaching that's there and the momentum that they've got, I could easily see them winning, the next couple of games, getting through to the next round. And would it be nice if they played Berlin and Liam Kirk reunion? That would write the headlines itself. But they've done really, really well. Friday, great game, 5-1, two empty netters, but the whole game was just edge of your seat stuff and exciting. There wasn't probably a moment there where you could just take a minute to take a breath. Everything kind of clicked in. The offside decision kind of took the 15 minutes, but the first time that I've ever seen that they played a whole song, and the DJ at the time, Stephen, was just in a position where he had to play another song because it took so long for the screens to work to get the replay. But then the major penalties, we can't see it. Everyone's kind of out the loop of the conversation of what's going on. But it was definitely a really, really good experience. And then seeing the Eddie in the final, the jubilation at the end, I've kind of, I've seen that at the Challenge Cup because I was there for the Challenge Cup. Saw it at playoff final. So I've kind of seen Steelers in their absolute jubilation mode with the fans. And it was probably another night that, yes, no trophies were won that night, but they kind of felt it and they kind of fully deserved it. Same with Sunday, everyone was buoyed up. Everyone was looking at the gay on the listings of betting. And they were not odds-on favourites, but they were 5-1. They were last year's runners-up in German Top League and obviously missed out. But everyone was kind of looking at that and thinking that they were a team that were, this is where they could get a little bit unstuck and unglued. And now obviously they took Swedish team on again. 2 in a row, 2 wins. And obviously everyone on social media now is saying that Steelers are obviously the Swedish killing team. Absolutely fine for it, but they play the team in front of them. Everyone can go through the conversations about the injuries that they had and the youngsters they brought on, but this is the thing that it's Sweden. If their youngsters are coming over, they aren't people that they've just found on the street in the development system. They are damn good players. They might be young and the experience isn't there, but they've got the talent, and they got a little bit unstuck and a little bit riled up. There's probably a couple of occasions there, where Valorant and Dowdy being Dowdy, getting Dowdy's face, you're going to get into trouble. Tansy laughing at a few of them, Saucerman, Cormier, a lot of the time after the buzzer and everything like that, going after Greenfield, and, their netminder they took exception to, and people were in their faces, and it kind of brought up how there wasn't a fight. I was very, very surprised. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. The officials, to their credit, literally jumped on someone's back at one point to stop a fight. Of course, me with my camera being there was not looking for a fight. Of course not. I wouldn't do that, would I? Not at all. So looking at it, really good weekend for them. Obviously now they've got to go in to next weekend, play the Flames. It's banner raising night. A lot of teams have played within the Challenge Cup in the Elite League. It's kind of going to a different system. Flames are probably sick of seeing them after last season, but I think it's going to be a fun night. They've got their shirt launch on the Friday. So having Friday night, party, fans, Steel Dogs, Rosa Docs are there. Going into Saturday against the Flames. And a banner raising night. I think obviously a lot of people within the fan bases are probably expecting a defeat. I think I know a few that are probably expecting that. But it should be a really good game. Obviously the preseason they've had, the Champions League hockey games that they've had. You're going to be buoyed with it. The atmosphere that they've got, looking at the ticket sales already, over 6,000 there again. I think that's going to be the hottest seat in town for games wise. There was a time when you could go to Nottingham and get a ticket on the games there, and you'd be in a position now where you couldn't get any tickets. But with Steelers, the last couple of games, they've pretty much been in a situation where they've just pretty much sell out. Pretty much sell out. And there we go. So obviously my extra co-host Binks has just made appearance. As soon as I mentioned Panthers, he just appeared, which is good. Probably want to feed him, but that's another job for some other point. So yeah, looking at it again with the Steelers as well, they've scored in bunches, last couple of games where they've, scored one, they've scored two. First couple of minutes, the momentum. They've buoyed up with the intro. The intros have all started on time this last couple of games as well. I thought I'd throw that one in. But they've kind of gone in, guns are blazing, scored a couple of goals. Yes, teams come back and drop down to earth with a bang the last couple of games as well. But they're not disheartened. They might lose a goal, they might lose another goal, but there's no heads dropping. There's a case of, you scored, we'll score a couple more. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. And that's probably, when you look at it, a lot of these teams are in a position where they can go, you know what? We won everything. They had, if you look at last year, they didn't do, bounce to bounce backs. The road blokes, whatever variation that you want to look at, is that confidence is kind of followed through for this season. With relation to a game plan, I think, Ollie, you're absolutely right. I think, they're coming out using the momentum that they've got of being with the fans on their side, and just, I think a lot of teams are probably going to come into this and just, yes, they might have got some lucky wins away from home, but I think with Pragui on Friday, I think, it took them aback a little bit, because the thing is that there was no umming and ahhing. There wasn't oohing and ahs and the boo and everything. It was like, happy we're in this experience there. Really big crowd. But you could see it in the faces of the team. No one looked overawed about it. They just knew the plan, played it really well, didn't let them breathe, didn't let them get any good scoring opportunities. Their passes were just there. They were on them. There's probably 7 or 8 different videos. Shameless plug number 2. Watch the videos that I've done, is where you can see there's always a Steeler breathing down somebody's neck straight away. There's not a time for them to breathe. There's not a time for them to be in a position where they can put 2 or 3 good passes together. And, that's credit to them. They're just pinning them in their own zone. And when they're getting passes across, it's just very rare that they're doing it that way. And what can you do? I mean, going forward, you look at it and go, they've got an opportunity now. They've got an opportunity to be with a team other than the Panthers to get into the next round. There's been a lot of jokes about who wasn't there over the last couple of days. Given the circumstances, anything that you can do to keep that momentum as a team, they'll do it. I mean, in hindsight, would they probably be in a position where they wanted to play the games? They probably wanted to do the CHL games straight away and get through, get to the next round, and then start the league games, and then start the Challenge Cup games. Could they do it? Unfortunately, they're going to have to play some games because we'll have to go through. With the reviews, definitely taking the game out as well. And then, a lot of people looking at the footage that was released over the couple of days about the hit to the head. Watling, it's open opinion. People saying that, wasn't a hit to head from Diffley. Call wasn't right. And then looking at it, was it a soft call? Then, of course, the Watling situation, what people have commented on our videos and everything that we posted, that he dived and the blood that he spat out was obviously diving too. But, that's the thing. Everyone has an opinion. You see it in the moment. You see the reaction of the players and the team and everything like that, and the physios running straight on. But without the hindsight of the reviews, and going on to another bit that I probably wanted to cover was the DOP situation in the videos, is everyone we'll be looking at it this way going forward. And no, I did not get in the media room, David. No, I did not. But, everyone will look at it there. Everyone has a snapshot going forward, is that when you are doing something, you're in a position where you will see it with your own eyes. You will see it as a video that's either slow mode on the big screen that's there at Sheffield, or any other arena, depending if they've got the screen. Of course, Clan is the new ones that have added a screen on there, and Altrincham have got one as well. So you can kind of see those pictures. And then as soon as you go on Twitter, as soon as you go on Instagram, as soon as you go on Facebook, you're going to see, grainy footage. You're going to see zoomed in footage. You're going to see all these little bits of information, and then people will throw in their 2 cents. Everyone's a referee. Everyone is being in a situation where you're going to be judgmental. I would hate to be a referee sometimes. Some of the decisions they have to make that they have to bring in with the circumstances going forward is how do you affect the game? How is it affecting them going forward? And being in a situation where, everyone looks at it and goes, they've got that one wrong. This is a makeup call. This is that. And it's a very difficult one going forward. So, um, David, I mean, the biggest thing that you missed obviously was the team, working so well. Sweet Caroline came on once, the place was rocking, Charlie was rocking, everyone was loving it, everyone was smiling. People were buying 50-50 tickets, you could see them all there queuing up and everything like that. And, from an atmosphere point of view, I think one of the big things that you missed is obviously just how everyone was celebrating and everyone was just kind of buoyed by how the team was doing. Even before the buzzer went, you could just feel the atmosphere. It was kind of in the room, in the arena, in the concourse. And a lot of people came up to me and said hi and didn't ask me if I've moved house yet. But it's still early days. There we go. So remember, I thought the correct in the arena mainly through the reaction, watching the videos back. And that's the thing is that, you get a decision like that with Watlin as well, so straightforward after it as well. But you are going to be in a position where it is within the crowd's remit is that if something happens to you and your team, you're going to be a little bit on edge and a little bit, that's the opinion that you've got to have. I've been in situations where it's like it's happened to the team and it's not happened to the opposition. You kind of like baying for blood. Why have they done that decision? And then other times you'll do it and you're like secretly going, oh, we got away. We got one off on that one. And it'll come back later down the line. And that's a very difficult thing to do, is that it's a very hard job for them going forward. And let's have a look. So we said everything as we scored. I mean, that's the thing is, every chance, every opportunity, every power play, every penalty kill, every couple of minutes, every 5 minutes of that penalty kill for Biffley. If you get a chance, if the video's there or anyone can get it, is listen to the raw. And as Karina has said, that last minute, the 5 minute kill, when Karina makes the save for the breakaway straight after, I think she posted it online, so I think she's kind of clawing away to say, watch it on her Twitter. But yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, watch the replays or anything like that, you can kind of feel that if you ever want to know a team is fully backed by the fan base, watch that couple of minutes there. And, the result and the Grand Slam and everything like that, but everyone was fully invested into that game. I've been to games where people, people are shouting shoot, people are saying pass, and thinking, why have you done that? What a waste of time and stuff like that. And people mooing and booing if anything doesn't go their way. I didn't hear any issues whatsoever going forward in that game where, people were slagging off players. Maybe Twitter's a different story. Maybe I'm not following the people that are slagging off players that have just won 2 games in the Champions Hockey League and have not pulled their weight in their opinion. But that's obviously me. Looking at it, Ollie's saying that has the response from other league fans surprised you? I mean, that's the thing is you look at it and you go, I know I made the joke earlier about people saying that, who do you think you are? Now you've got Swedish blood or, whatever blood, Czech. And I've been a lifelong supporter. It's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of banter, but the credit where credit's due, if you look at everyone, within the league, the teams, people will always have that because it's Sheffield. Same when it was with Belfast. People will look away from the colour or the team or the organisation and think, well, I've got to hate them no matter what. But you've got to respect fully what they've done. Same with Belfast last year, but with Steelers doing what they've done and are probably a couple of games away for making history, you've got to, admire it. And, they've not, it's not been a luck of the draw kind of situation. They've been drawn against some really good teams. I know Steelers post earlier today about thanking Peter Cech for the draw, admittedly, which I think obviously was a little bit funny given the circumstances. But, they're not playing poor opposition. There might be variants about injuries and form and whatever, and not maybe taking them seriously. But they've actually got into a situation where they've played on their own ice and away and dictated the game. And if you look at it from every interview that the team has done, in the build up of the week, and look, North Post earlier today, where the first thing that they posted was about Steelers. I mean, with Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, and Rotherham, Barnsley, and all those different teams and everything like that. When was the last time hockey was first grade A news on a sports program or any program whatsoever for the right reasons? And that's the thing, is that, we've always said this, we want the TV deal, we want Sky Sports, we want people to go on BBC website. So, there's all other media outlets, please, obviously with Sheffield and BBC, they do a really good job with what they do there. But there's not many teams that kind of branch in. BBC Wales do it as well. BBC Northern Ireland do it in bits and pieces, which is really good. Absolutely fine. Sorry, I keep calling you Mint Biscuit One. I hope that's okay. Looking at it, Chris Dawes did say it was the first time. If that's the first time that they were doing it, you got to put it in a really good position there, where that's what you want people to talk about, and that's the thing. For them to be on the TV, how many people that might not watch a hockey game? My grandparents always religiously watched Central News when I was growing up. And being in, it was always on. There was never any real news. It was like, someone's cat had been stolen back when I was a kid. News has changed a wee bit since then. So the fact is that they can actually put on a program that's going to have a lot of eyes through. I mean, being Nottingham the way I do, of course, BBC Nottingham have some coverage as well. Obviously, I said about Sheffield, look at the recruitment day, where the entire of them, every hour, for that time period, they did the sign, they did interviews and everything like that. That's something that you can't really, push away from. And Pete Spencer does a really, really good job for it as well. Granada for Storm as well. So obviously that's really good that other teams are getting that exposure from local press as well. The Star, Yorkshire Post, Evening Post. I know Nottingham Sport with Joe did quite a bit last season as well. That's something that you want to see. And that's really, really enjoyable. Obviously, Karina says that they've been on there as well, starting with sports, and it's been on. But to start it for the first time, absolutely brilliant that they've done it. So that's 30 minutes in. So that's 30 minutes of Steelers. So looking at it going forward, let's go through to the next team that we wanted to have a look at, and that was the ones that got us the bingo card full house for the first time in the 24-25 season, and that was Glasgow Clan. Obviously, Saturday, taking on the Devils. Really, really good first game for them as well. And that's the thing is, everyone was kind of saying, oh, they're losing, they're playing the Devils. Devils won the Aladdin Cup. So it was a banner night for them to raise the Aladdin Cup banner. So they thought there was going to be a situation where Clan was going to be the team to beat them and Devils weren't going to get into 100% there. But credit to them. Devils versus Clan looked like a really good game looking at the highlights. Devils look really, really good. And they have. I've seen the opportunity. I saw them at Sheffield against the Steelers as well. I know they've had a lot of games that they've had Pete Russell being with GB and Matthew Myers coming through and helping and supporting them going forward. But, Devils are a really good team. I think one person I really want to shout out is that someone who, from the game yesterday, the last couple of games as well, and obviously Flames game on Sunday, is Evan Mosey in the forward position. There's a lot of names there that people are going to look through going forward. GB pro of the tournament in the World Championship for Mosey. Come back to Cardiff, doing his D, doing his forwards, having his Kit Kats and everything like that. But he's kind of obviously shown, he's hit the ground running really, really well. And they've been really, really good. Reed Duke, really good player as well. Bounds and Carruth being in there together. Obviously, Carruth still coming back from injury, so fingers crossed they can see him as well. Goal-wise, Mosey gets an assist, first goal again for the Devils, with Cody as well. Reed Duke is goal scorer for that one. A couple of penalties here and there, bits and pieces. Have you heard? Clan got an equaliser by Mitchell Hurd in the end of the second period. few penalties there. There's always going to be that feeling that. Reed Duke, again, another really impressive goal, second goal. At the end of the day, with Zach O'Brien and Fournier getting the goal, and then empty net. That's the thing is, Clan are going to push through, going through to try and get those 2 points at the end of the day, with Josh McDonald getting the empty net goal, and then Joey Martin, Brett Polini. So, of course, Sunday, as Max has said, Devils have batch out for the next game. I think obviously on social media, probably people have seen it, which kind of covers into the next point that I wanted to make is the DOP side of situation. So if anyone hasn't seen the information that was posted out a couple of weeks ago, is that the league decided that it was only going to be 3 games or more that they were going to show the video. So press release comes out, as well should be, to give you an explanation, to give the blurb with how the team player will be out, the reason for why, and to the discretion of the league, why the rules have been processed in that way. A lot of people aren't happy about the videos. I know people, when it first came out, said that I'll be out the job with the videos that we did. Only a bit of fun, Thing we added the videos, we added the little bits on there as well, just to, bring eyes and engagement to what's happening in a different way. But yeah, I mean, the video's out there online. I know I've seen a couple of people post it. We posted it. Batch him in the zone with Flames there. A little bit of afters. Band's in place. And he's out. And then, of course, later on in the game as well, how many penalties we're going through for, high sticking. Avaro for fighting. Hesnick for fighting. Avaro, fighting as well. Mosey for fighting, Gourlay for fighting, just everyone really for fighting. But that's the decision making. That's the end of the game. Really good. So let's have a look. So random question: water bottles on the nuts. Any info reason why? Not heard anything. I mean, obviously, what the video that they were saying sidewise, that it was kind of his inclination, his thought process. I know people said, made the joke that he wouldn't be in a position that there could be a bottle popper for the commentary or the fans to revel in Nottingham if it ever happened, if there's no water bottle there. And that's the thing is, anyone who plays hockey, you hear the stories about, their traditions or their, kind of things. I mean, obviously, you probably played hockey and maybe you put your skates on a different way, your socks, or however you look at it, is if it's something that kind of works for them for 20 minutes without getting a drink, it's an interesting one. But, Devils really great. They've kind of hit the ground running in the Challenge Cup so far, pre-season, the 700 games that they played. They've been a really performing good team. And, to get the win against Devils in pre-season was obviously a really high thing for Steelers to do. GB played them as well. Flames, really good team. And obviously with Flames, not heard anything about the net situation. Maybe they didn't take any water bottles. There's no water bottles in Nottingham, but it might be a Flames question. Maybe the players just decided that they didn't want to do it. But who knows? I mean, I always need a drink. I've been talking for a good 40 minutes. I need a drink. But if they can play hockey for both nets without any... Maybe someone forgot to take them. You just never know with them. And to be fair, goalies are something else. So looking at it there, so we've got obviously really good couple of games for the Devils there as well. Yeah, goalies are weird and weird traditions. Absolutely true. If it's something that works for them, obviously a new netminder for Devils, for Flames as well. So maybe it's catching on. Maybe nobody wants to get water going forward. So let's go back to Clan. So yeah, we spoke a bit about Devils. Game 1, 3-1. A lot of people was kind of looking at it that way. What would happen the next night? Kevin Moore's first game for Blaze in Elite League action since he's moved from Nottingham to Coventry. Really good young roster that he's brought through. And it was a chance to see them, blending in, mixing in. Clan, Vanel, all the circumstances going for them. And, Bow got the start, Robinson as well for the Blaze. And it was one of those games, because I was not fully watching until later on in the evening. It kind of just didn't really, first period just kind of went by really, really quickly. Not many penalties in the sense that, that there normally is, a little bit of roughing, slashing, tripping, whatever. But, end-to-end action opportunities. And a lot of people were kind of like, clan, they're doing all right. They're kind of that kind of setup with Corey there. They're just going to hit in the counter and get it. And, credit Blaze, Rigo scored, gets first goal, 27 minutes in, getting that goal, and then you hit him once, you hit him the twice, get a short-handed goal. For Blaze, as it gets that short-handed goal, then you start to hear, getting a little bit of pings on the phone and stuff like that, getting a short-handed goal. A lot more penalties are coming through. It's getting a little bit more ticking over, clan. Get it. And then it hits three, power play goal. Luciani gets it. 3-0 Blaze. Start getting messages. People are there straight away, just go in. Bingo cards on, full house. But credit to clan, they didn't know where to quit. And I think that's probably one of the big things that are going to happen this season for them is they've got a lot of talent. Cage's there for a couple more weeks as well. A lot of good players there. Coley is there as well. Sidorov. Of course, these are two guys that got the goals to kind of open it up. Empty netter by Clement. They're pushing for it in the circumstances. 5-minute penalty, spearing by Luciani. Corey's just setting it up, working out his plays. He's had them for a couple of weeks now. Been over to Germany, played Solway. In a really good position, what they were doing going forward. And, it looked like an assigned game. Watching the highlights and bits and pieces later on, I think Blaze, a lot of people who made the comments that they did that they was going to be so low since Danny had left and that transitional stage and having a new head coach in, new ideas, new assistant coach, new people within the building, how long would it take with these younger players? But when you're young, you've got that exuberance. You're not going to take no for an answer and you're going to be fighting to the very last buzzer. And I think that's what they brought through Blaze this year. They're not going to go down. The energy levels are going to be there. The intensity levels are going to be there. And really remiss that seeing those teams playing going forward, I think Blaze are going to cause some really big issues this year for some teams, which kind of leads me into the next team that I've kind of put my thought process into saying that I think they're going to be a good season. I know last week we did mention it with the Flyers. Obviously, Tom Cooling running through a brick wall for that man as a coach. I've said it once. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep saying it until people tell me to stop. So, absolutely fine. Really good weekend for them as well. Playing a Storm team that, that one was really, when you were looking back at that and you're thinking, that's a game that you wish that you went to go and see. And obviously Laura doing the commentary, the guys over there, they had a barn burner. What you want, a little bit of action, lots of goals, lots and lots of goals. And, credit where credit's due. As a team, I like Fife. Really do. And I like Storm as well. And when you get these two together and you get a game that's 5-6, what can you ask for as a neutral? Obviously, I know that, if you're Fife, you're probably really annoyed that, you get a buzzer beater. And as a Storm fan, you're probably thinking, okay, this is not going the way you wanted, especially losing 4-0 at home against Panthers. Almost there. But yeah, playing Panthers on Friday night, 4-0. Looking at that performance-wise in the Challenge Cup, then you go, next game, what can we do? You've got Hewlett, and you've got a lot of players there that are in a situation where they can really make a name for themselves in the league. I know, fancy hockey leagues and everyone's starting to do their dream teams and whatnot, what they brought forward, who's those top tier players that you want to keep. I think there's a few from Storm and few from Flyers that if you're looking at your budgets and stuff like that, you'll be in a position that you should pick a couple of these up because they're going to get a lot of points for you. And, from an excitement point of view, that's the kind of game that you want, that, Steelers great what they did, over the Champions Hockey League, is that seeing a 5-6 game and getting to a situation where there's like 15 seconds on the clock, and I mean, not even that really. I mean, Fife were probably in a position looking at it that they were looking to shut up shop. Makes it 5-5, and then momentum takes a swing, takes a hit, and then it comes straight through to Storm getting the winner. I saw a lot of Storm fans that were just a little bit like, what's going on here? What's happening? Everything that happened over pre-season, they were thinking, let's hit the ground running, let's start amassing some points and get straight into the business end. And credit to them. They could have took that 4-0 loss badly. Took them a wee while to get settled and sorted and get back into the swing of things. But to come back from 5 with all 2 points and then know that you can just be in a position where you took a lot out of you. Took a lot out of you with the challenges and everything. But, if you were a fan of them, I know I was speaking to Jordan, Flyers fan, he was just very much like, that one slipped away. Storm fans seeing on social media as well. You're going to take it. You take a win like that. I mean, it'd be a lot easier if it was like 5-6-0 and you didn't have to worry about it. But thinking that it's going to go to overtime and then might go to a shootout and then you're trying to get home and trying to travel all the way back is a issue area. But take the win. Take it on the chin. Good week of training, everything like that. Go back, go forward and go again. Get the kinks out the systems. Because that's the thing, is the more weeks that they've got as a group going forward, they'll be in a position where they can grow, develop. New signing today as well, adds to the list, Martin. The reason I thought it was Chris Martin at one point, but Craig Martin, misread that first time. Bring new bodies in, see what they do, get some firepower through the door, get some defensive situations, more than happy. Absolutely, really good start for them as well. So we've looked through that. Next couple of games as well, if we look over the weekend, was Dundee Stars and Belfast Giants. So another game that you kind of look at it and go, well, goal-wise, going to overtime. Watching that one as well, same scoreline, different way around. Went to overtime, this one did. Is, as Neil says, really going back onto it, we can score. You can score goals this season. That's the thing, is if you look at the players that they've got, Kikuchi as well, Scott Conway's back, JJ's back. These are people that are going to get goals. Bobo. Oh, I love that name, Bobo. Got Bobo there, Conway, Cazetti. Just so many players that, this is the thing, is that I said it last couple of weeks, going to say it again, is that a lot of teams, if you've got one or two scorers that that are going to be those guys that you need to keep an eye on and be the ones that you just need to stop that line from scoring, then the team's going to be struggling. Said this about Steelers as well. They've got goal scorers through the lines. Neil's absolutely right. 3 strong lines and 2 solid netters. I mean, Whistle, Callum. Is Belfast don't like losing. Adam Keefe said it earlier in the week. I'm not sure where I saw the interview. 25 years, come through straight away, said, we don't like losing. We lost too much last season. We don't want to do it again. And this is where it gets a little bit tasty, because I've said about Devils, said about Giants, and obviously the platitude for Steelers is obvious. So you've got 3 teams there with the budget, with the player recruitment, with the youngsters in the door that have recruited well, understand the system with the two-way that obviously has been brought in by the league, and these teams are going to be playing each other a lot. And there's going to be some games. I know there's no double headers in the sense that there was with the new system that's kind of been brought in. So there's going to be playing at different times, different kind of fan bases. Who's going to go to Belfast for one game on a night? Belfast fans, are you going to come to Sheffield for that one night and do a weekend of it, depending on how that lines up for you? But that's going to be the battle. There is going to be other teams that are going to be there as well. Neil's going to be there 29th. I'll be there as well. is that this is going to be a battle that, people are going to be salivating for. And I'm probably selling it, and it's not going to be, it's going to be 1-0, one shot all game, no fights, no nothing, no penalties. It's just going to be one of those drib drab games. It's not, is it really? You're kind of in a position there where these guys are going to play the hearts out, and that's the thing, is that they're not going to lose these games, because obviously the big games are the ones that you want to get the 2 points of, for the banter, the momentum. But I think what happens a lot of the time is that you play one of the teams that people would consider on a budgetary level or should be losing against these teams, and then they get into a situations where, actually they're giving them a run for their money. They're sharing points, they're going overtime shootouts, or they're nicking a win here or there. And that's where you kind of want it to be. You want the strength in the league to be all 10 teams. I know budgetary and recruitment kind of dictates that, injuries depending, and form, of course, and there's so many different factors. But you're kind of in a position where you want them to succeed, but you want to see these teams kind of obviously just make that next step up. You don't want someone to go, okay, this is going to be 9-10-0. What's the point in going bus legs, so many different factors. Of course, I completely understand that. But you want teams to be in a position where they actually fight and they actually put themselves and a good account of themselves. Because that's where it comes back with Ollie, what he said earlier, is about having people viewing the league. Yes, seeing these teams win at a canter is great, but you want to see these teams and players develop and people to make names for themselves by scoring a goal that they're not meant to score with everything that's going on. So credit to them. So let's run through pretty much all the teams there. So the last one probably really need to do, we know we covered it for Friday with the Storm 4-0 win. And then, of course, Challenge Cup. Everyone was saying that, after Panthers pre-season, sack the coach. Everyone's a coach as well on social media with how they were talking going forward with Panthers, what season they're going to have with their recruitment. Sam are going to do this, and is he the player from a couple of years ago? What is this team? Actually, 4-point weekend for the Panthers. Not too shabby at all. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people are very much in that situation there where you look at it and you go, well, this is a Panthers team that are actually showcasing their abilities, and credit to them, somehow got the goal that I think a lot of people wanted him to get, because then it kind of put themselves into the question, is he the player that he was a couple of years ago in 2019? Everyone's changed. Everyone obviously grows and develops as a player. But, to get the opening goal, misses the penalty shot, of course, bit of a downer. As well, gets goal number 3. And, of course, Flames get themselves back into the game, hits to 4-2. 4-3. It wouldn't be a Panthers game without some squeaky bum moments of, is Flames going to come back into the game? Is there going to be a mistake or anything like that? And then, Her comes back with 2 goals, John. As well, Anthony from Banners on the Wall. That's okay. Hello. Good to see you. Is, look at Panthers. Really good performance as well. Where, going to Storm is notoriously a difficult place for them to go with the way that the ice is, and with the preseason, I think people were kind of expecting that one to be a slip up so early in the season, but to go in there so convincingly, get a shutout for Bernard, really, really great. Storm were a very tough team. They didn't roll over and let their bellies get tickled. They actually fought hard and got themselves into a position where they wanted to really, really give it a game to the Panthers. But, Panthers did really well Friday, 4 points with the game on Saturday against the Flames. I said earlier that Flames was a team to watch out for as well. Still early days, no Walechka, which obviously was a shame because I know a few people wanted to welcome Walechka back in Nottingham after last couple of years of his leaving. But plenty of time for that. So that's the elite league. So one really team that a couple that performance wise that I just obviously wanted to say was Leeds Knights. You know, another game that really unfortunate that I haven't had a chance to watch fully against Solway. I mean, after last season, Solway did give them a few little bit of scary moments when they played in pre-season as well, and up back in Solway, in, in Dumfries. Of course, with Neil being here, it would be only remiss me to say that Finn got Hattie. And really annoyingly, I took Hattie off the bingo card because I thought he's going to get a hat trick. So you can let him know that I apologise. He would have got all the plaudits if I kept hat trick on there, which is a shame. And that's the thing is, Leeds, I've been very lucky to watch them the last couple of years. And it's scary, I remember Gospel playing for Panthers. He's a complete, really, really good netminder. The fact is, I know people will probably say, no, you can't say this, but I've always would have loved to have seen him, somewhere in the elite league. But he's found his place. He's one of the best. Really all round great lad as well. And you just kind of think, he's a talent. Kieran Brown as well. Everyone keeps saying to me, oh, wouldn't it be great if he goes to make a step up, but he's doing so well. Captaincy, scoring in bunches, fun. He's a magician with his Michigans. Finn is obviously doing really, really well. Bisnet as well. You can just look through Lee Haywood. You look at these players and you think, one thing I will always say that I'm remiss with is that the players that have actually gone into the national, John Dunbar, Tim Wallace, Ross Venus. There's just, I could be here all night and just say the type of players that they have recruited that have come through is if you've not watched a game, it's very easy for me to sit here for a long time. And obviously I know Anthony coming here has kind of just brought that conversation to a head. Is if you've got a local team nearby, I mean, what Steelers are doing with the Steel Dogs and of having the two ways and the opportunity to train and have that connective tissue. Solway as well with Clan and everything as well, the two ways, the three ways, MK as well. There's just so many teams where they've just got an array of talent and it just goes down the entire groups. I remember watching Lions back in the day and, Billingham, 11-1. There is just a lot of hockey, Hawks as well, Phantoms. You could just name so many teams. There is just so many there where if you've got a weekend free and you love hockey, it might not just be a team that you fully support, but go and embrace them, go and get a 50-50. I remember going to a Lions game and the 50-50 was £30. But for them, that was the biggest night that they had when they were there and they're starting to pull up trees. Whitley, they didn't get the result that they wanted, obviously, after week one, stop the count, going and trying to win. But I remember a time when Solway was in playing Lions and, it was kind of double figures every single game. And Solway have just made that jump, made that development with the youngsters within Dumfries and signed really, really well. And it's exciting. Everyone said, MK playing Blaze and Solway playing Clan, it wasn't a fair thing. And then people saying, what about the Challenge Cup? You could start adding these teams in as some kind of FA Cup where they could play one person with a hand behind their back, only play Brits, only play that's 1-2 lines or anything like that. There were so many ideas when they did the Challenge Cup ideas. But I've watched those games. I'm very lucky of watching hockey as much as I do, probably too much sometimes. But you see these players and you think about it and you go, in a couple of years' time, this guy could make the move. He could make the step up here or abroad, whatever variation it might be. But there's a lot of talent down the line. I mean, it would be good if we could bridge the gap. And I know with the, some people didn't like the idea for it. You could just be in a position where you can put these players in for 20 games, the two-way deals and the opportunities. And, people were going back and saying, well, how come so-and-so teams signed so many players on two ways? Why haven't other teams done that? It's because of so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so. But get that connective tissue, get those conversations, Cardiff Canucks and everything with D-side, Dragons, there is so many teams that they probably can just squirrel with it as well. I mean, and you're absolutely right. People giving that as an idea of an FA Cup style competition is I'm more than happy for those guys. You know, they're doing the DOPS thing where they're being completely clear. The games that they're playing, their playoffs in Coventry. There's some really, really exciting games. There's a lot of goals. I mean, going back to your earlier point about different gravy with Leeds, I mean, 7-3 against MK, you know, it's scary how good that team is. And now they've got their Knights 2 as well, and they've got that development pathway for the groups. It's going to be an exciting couple of years. And I'm not saying, you know, turn away from the teams in the Elite League, but one thing I'll probably say, if you've got an opportunity, give it a chance, you know, right down to the beer league. Of course, don't really go from beer league or anything, but at the weekend, at the Motor Point, Steel Kings, para ice hockey won. So obviously want to give that, you know, really big shout out to them. I know the last couple of years how great they've been doing, but there is so many forms of hockey, even with, you know, all the charity events. You know, there's so many people that, you know, that put on the skates. There's a lot of bravery to do. I mean, I can't skate. I haven't got skates on because I'll fall flat on my ass. Not gonna lie. But you know, there's so many people that are starting to grow and develop in this league that want the support. You know, they might be veterans, they might be starting out their first ever game, they might just be having a nice little fun with their mates on the rink at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you've got to look at it and think, you know, balls do them to do it, literally to go on the ice and play those games the way they do. Where, you know, I've never asked about money or what side of things and, you know, how much equipment costs. You know, one thing I've always wanted to do is actually go to one of the shops and just calculate what it must be for parents, you know, with goalie equipment or new equipment for kids that, you know, where they grow straight away and then the equipment's obsolete and secondhand, and how that actually works. Because it's something that, you know, I've not had the experience to know about. And it must be scary for a parent to love the game, fully encourage their kids to go into the game, where financial implications, because that's the thing is with other sports in the UK, with football, find a piece of grass, buy a football, be in a position where, you know, it's very different with hockey. And you see a lot of people putting on social media that their kids are playing or they're developing, and you just want them to succeed. You really want to see that next generation going through and being there, and you don't want them to be scared away by the pricing, the rink availability, where the rinks are in the country. And that's what, you know, every time I've been to High Sheffield and every time I've been to the CCM rink, not just for ice hockey but skating. I mean, I've been to the CCM rink and walked past and there's some kind of foam discos and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old for this kind of stuff. But people seem putting on skates and getting intrigued and excited about hockey and skating. You know, we want the sport to be here long after I'm gone and the next generations are gone. But we want it to grow as well. We don't want it to be stagnant. We don't want it to be a situation where, as I've said previously, if anyone will listen to me, is that people still ask me about ice hockey as an alien language, that they don't know it's in this country or there's teams that exist. You know, where I work, there's an arena 5 minutes walk and people don't really know it exists. And that's sad because obviously you guys are here watching hockey with me and talking about hockey, so you must like hockey. Or you want to hear me talk? I don't know. Either or. So Steelers season tickets getting cheaper. Dogs for the Dogs is great incentive. If we lived in Sheffield, I'll be loads of their games too. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that if there's a way an incentive where I get it, you know, there's a cost of living crisis. You know, we're getting to the colder echelons of winter again, where people will be wrapping up and will they put heating on? Let's not get political. But yeah, the thing is that people's cash flow and stuff like that. I've said this about traveling to different rinks. I would love to go to more rinks and stuff like that. I'm in a position, obviously, I don't drive, so you'd be really tough and really hard by to go to these games in and out as much as I would like to. But you've got to think of, you know, from a family point of view, if you've got, you know, trains, coaches, car, petrol, food, tickets, chuck a puck. Chip spice if you're going to Hull, absolutely. You know, there's so many different things, you know, chuck a puck, merchandise. It's an experience, and to go to those games is a privilege. You know, it'd be great if you could go to the game, win 50-50. I know Neil said that, you know, he won a little bit of money back in the day. Obviously, hope you didn't spend that £20 all at once. But people are going there. I'm very lucky. I don't eat at a rink because I'm busy, but also it's a very difficult situation where you're like, do you want to spend that kind of money in there? And that's completely someone's prerogative and privilege. But I was there at games last year where the queues out the door, 50-50 sellers are just being inundated with people with money and shut off the back, and the shops, you're in a position where money comes through. It might be from a fan base that goes week in, week out, get jerseys, or you can get people in off the street that, a lot of the time, people always used to say to me, what game would be good to go to? And it was always Panthers versus Steelers, because there was lots of fights, there was a lot of drama, and you could drink and you could have a good laugh. Obviously now it's just Steelers winning every single time, but that's a different conversation. And there's not as much fights. But, that's what people want to see, is that what's that little in for people in hockey. And, with the videos that we do, if you think about it, most of the videos will be the goals, the exciting moments, the crescendo, the eddy, the celebrations, the goals, the fights, any drama, any officiating or anything like that. You kind of sell the league, be it the National, be it the Elite League or any other league there is. You've got to look at the selling points of what gets people in the door. There's incentive about, cheaper games, the, action that they can send through with what they've got is how you sell a product. The interviews and everything like that, they come with it, get people through the doors, the exposure, we covered that, the more exposure you can get, because we kind of fit in a little box. People will follow no. People who know. That's what I always say. But obviously, if you're on YouTube, you see the videos on, if you go on news channels, it's not really there. Highlight packages not really there. I know some channels are starting to do it now. We said it. We know we covered it. BBC Sheffield is obviously making a big dent in it as well. Is how you get to those people. And, I was at cricket earlier in the summer and there was advertisement for Panthers. You've seen placards. I've seen Belfast as well having signs up within Belfast Town Centre. I'm sure Cardiff, I'm sure every team have a placard or something like that where they can, put advertisement, local press. I'm sure they do radio jingles or anything like that for local radios. Schools, Fife, a couple of weeks ago, were Fife in the community, going to schools and stuff like that. Because that's one way to do it. Go and see a player, try the equipment with the kids. Kids run home and say, I want to go and watch a hockey game. And, you're in a position where, can they afford to go to those games? But that's when you can say, well, there's actually different development routes where you can watch those games at a smaller price and get them hooked. That's the thing. Lions is probably a really good example. People have got hockey for Panthers. Straight after is the Lions games. If you can get 10% of those people from that and have a deal with it, same with Steel Dogs, there's no hockey on this, but on Saturday night, but Friday night, go to the Dogs. You get people through the door, smaller price, and they enjoy it once. Do you want to do this again? Yes. And also, if you go to Steel Dogs, they've got some nice pie. I have to say that every time I'm legally obliged to say that now. I'm a chef and I don't eat at the arena. That's fair. Going to watch Steelers, we don't have much change out of 100. That's the thing, that's probably the prime example. It's great that you go into these games, but it's very difficult to go to them and have that kind of control where, obviously, I know that you can't bring your own drinks in, your own food in. Some arenas are very funny with that. I completely understand that. You don't want to eat something and gorge yourself by going to the local places and then go into the arena and then just go cold turkey for the next 3-4 hours. But everything does cost, and it's a tough one, especially if you've got kids or, people within that age group that they see things and they want something, be a plushie, be a foam hand, a puck, kitchen sink, a beard. I know, obviously, Steelers should sell beards. I think they should, but that's just me. But, you kind of look at that position where you look at it, you go forward with it. But at the end of the day, this is where the money comes in, really, is, people are buying their season tickets. There's the all-in tickets now. You can buy all in one or you can extend it with a direct debit over 6 months. Cash flow from jerseys, shirt raffles. I know people make light about how many shirt raffles there are or different specialist jerseys, but from a cash point of view, really, is we covered it previously about the TV deal, about paying those people to give the deal cash flow. I mean, that's the thing, is that there's not hundreds of millions of pounds. I know Tanner said about they could beat Arsenal at the moment and play that, but there's not millions of pounds on the table. There's not hundreds of millions of disposable income of brown envelopes lying around, really, that the teams can just do. So you've got to kind of work within the parameters that you can do to get the best product on and off the ice, as well as the, paying for training facilities and usage of the rinks. I'm sure the cost of those on their own, of game day and rent and whatever, if you own it, or you have to rent it from arena or anything like that, the costs that must be coming towards those teams, it's really, really tough to balance those books and to be them when someone's saying, "Oh, just sign someone, just sign someone, sign him from Maple Leafs. He's absolutely brilliant. Just sign him, be perfect." It doesn't really work like that. And unfortunately, you kind of put yourself in a position where teams are doing it and everyone's talking about, is there a budget? Is there a salary cap? Is there, brown envelopes? Is there, these teams that are top heavy with so many players, the injury reserve, and they're cheating the system or they're trying to utilize the system. But from a cost point of view, it is very tough for them. And I know we covered it previously about cost of streams and everything like that, but it's really tough where you find that extra income of that small percentage, because you don't really want to take it off tickets as well, because I know a lot of teams do reduce tickets. I know Clan have obviously now added the £60 all in for it. You are in a position where a lot of clubs now have bulk deals, that I know Panthers have started to do it, where buy a ticket for Friday and put themselves there of, buy a ticket Friday, but Saturday, group discount, and stuff like that. And they're trying to hit businesses and hit people, come to the rink, come to the suites and, be a sponsor or anything like that. Is you've got to credit a lot of these people that work behind the scenes, it's a tough sell. I've worked in businesses where you tried to, and it's not cold calling, it's not anything like that, but it's very difficult when you're trying to put a brand out there where that isn't as accepted. How many people will see this is kind of a very tough one. And I know last couple of weeks people are saying, why isn't Hendo's sponsoring the Steelers with all the publicity and everything like that? But it is tough for a lot of businesses, a lot of smaller businesses that originally were in a position where they would sponsor people, is that you want to be loyal to them. What affordability that do they do with the businesses and rent and the climate that we currently sit in, to make the move to a bigger branch of a company that could give you more money, which helps you budgetary for players' accommodation, food, and everything that they need. It does put themselves in a position where it is really tough, because, it would be great to have unlimited money. And obviously Eastside Hockey, which is something that we've got coming out in the next couple of days, that we're going to do some couple of bits with them, just to, because they fixed it. Because originally I had to message them because the Giants were in the CHL for this season. So I had to message them and say, just let you know, I know you want people to have the new updated roster, but if you keep Giants in the CHL and not Steelers, people are going to be not happy about it. So they fixed that. I've played it for the last couple of weeks, and I've been doing some bits and pieces. We're going to do, tomorrow's we're going to get the player ratings, and, ask someone, name a player, we'll put it through the thread, and we'll just basically send the player card of the person in that team for the National and the Elite League. Is probably the best way we're going to do it. But there's not unlimited money, contracts, there isn't like signing someone for 7-8 year deals. I know there's been some exceptions with universities and deals, and you've got to credit the national teams that have done the 2-3 year deals, because they don't have to keep going. Because one of the big things I've said about continuity is you get a team, you do really, really well, you're very successful, they get poached by teams in this country or in Europe that can offer bigger, better deals and better hockey. And then you've got to do the same again. You're just constantly recruiting. And some teams can keep their players for whatever reason, home reasons. They like the place, connections with the coach, and everything like that. But then in the other end, you can't remiss that it's a very short career. Anything can happen in this career where they could get injured and not play again, or maybe they just want to do a couple of years and then become firemen, insurance, car salesman, insurance agents. So many ex-players now that I've seen on social media, the stuff that they're doing after they've retired. Credit to them. You know, they've got out after a couple of years. The bodies are still everything. They can still play. And now they're in a position where they're not playing till like they're 30 or 40 and they've got a career outside of the game. And, you know, they've got the money out of it as well. Really great credit to them. Yorkshire T-Way sponsors the pre-season tourney. No, he's getting hendos. I mean, it kind of sold itself in the nicest way. I mean, we posted it a couple of times, do it for Yorkshire with Sean Bean for the Yorkshire Cup. It fit, if I'm honest. You're kind of in a position where it would have been really cool to have it. And I get, you know, I'm sure there was little bits turning through, but if it's going to be a continuous thing, how well Seahawks and Leeds and Steel Dogs are doing, you're kind of in a position where hopefully they do it. You know, watch this space. If no one's asking the question, they really should. But looking at it, we always said that we're going to try and get over an hour. I've been trying to get over an hour this week, but it looks like I've finally done it. So just want to say thank you very much for everyone. I'm going to obviously put it onto a close for the rest of the evening so I can do a couple of bits and then watch some more hockey, luckily. But just obviously thank you everyone for engaging, you know, communicating. Please, you know, like and subscribe. I've got to get used to saying that because I don't really know why. I used to do it because I used to make fun of my nephew when he watched the Sidemen stuff because he used to do videos when he was like 7 or 8 years old. But now I'm doing it and I'm not 7 or 8 years old. I'm nearly 40. But yeah, if you guys can give it a like, give it a subscribe, you know, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter if you're not already. It's greatly appreciated. Playing along with the bingo card, any communication, good or bad, you know, we love speaking to you guys. It kind of keeps things going really because if you engage, it makes my life a lot more fun, a lot more easier. So thank you so much. I'll be back here on Monday, bar any cancellations or people telling me to stop. But enjoy your hockey week. Watch as many games that you can and enjoy the hockey. I'll see you guys all later. Bye bye.